I was invited to put a proposal in for the Meeting Point project. I might not have done it if I wasn't invited to propose something, because I've never really thought of English heritage as something that's for me or that I could be part of. But I think the thing that drew me to this was one of the things that Cromford Mills were interested in is commemorating the labour force that was involved in the cotton industry, particularly here at the mills, and I think that spoke to me. And so we're going to create a huge sculptural project which is going to be placed right here in the middle of the yard, and it's going to be created as symbolic portraits, the lost records of the women and children who worked at the cotton mills here and who are going to be represented by local volunteers who have offered up their photographs of themselves. The transatlantic slave trade, the enslaved people who were involved in the cotton industry, they're being represented by Nottingham Bright Ideas, who have also photographed as part of this artwork, and then the Indian cotton industry being represented through photographs of my family members. And so we're going to create symbolic portraits of all of these groups of people. There's going to be about 22 people altogether that will fit into this sculpture, and they'll form like a giant over life-sized portraits that will form a circle behind us in this yard. So behind me here is the ruins of the second mill, which was lost to a fire, and so the idea of the artwork is to repopulate this area with the people that were the workers here, both the workers that were here and the wider people who were part of the cotton industry. So they're going to kind of occupy this space, and so you'll be able to kind of see it from a distance as you walk in, and because of the way that the structure's made, you'll be able to also go inside it and see it from the inside. And I quite like the idea that people coming in to see the sculpture will also see current day people sort of with the images of who were represented from history as well. So today is a workshop to create the materials that we're going to make the sculpture with. So the sculpture is going to be portraits, line drawings of people that are created from this yarn, and the yarn is being created from recycled clothing. And so it involves kind of cutting down these clothes and these fabrics into strips and then and twisting them together to make a yarn.
So these are a few that I made, but then also what we've been making in this workshop with a few volunteers here. So we have these lovely twisted yarns you can see over here with a variety of colours, which reflects what this whole place is about as well.
And so there's a lot of labour needed to sort of create the material for the portrait. So today we're working with volunteers from the local area who've come to help us create this yarn. So this is the second workshop in which we're taking the yarn from last week and weaving it into these mesh panels onto which have the drawings behind of the people that we photographed. And so we have local volunteers who've come to help us do all that weaving. And one of the reasons for that is that, you know, the piece is called Cotton Labour, and we're really referencing and sort of celebrating some of that labour that was involved in these mills. And so it's kind of an important part of the process that we have manual labour from different people woven into the project. So the process of creating the portraits is start with a photograph of the volunteer, and then on a program on the iPad I sort of draw over a very kind of basic line drawing over the photograph, and then I've used this line drawing to project onto a large sheet of Tyvek, and then we've taken these large drawings and sort of placed them behind these wire mesh to give a foundation of those lines, and then this is the guide that we're following with the yarn. And so the portraits are of real people, but the idea is not necessarily that they're about the people that are specifically those people. The ethos that the project is done in is that people are standing in for those that can't be here today for various reasons. So people are sort of almost offering up their bodies as symbolically for people who can't be here. And so whilst it'll be real people in the portraits, it'll be representing lots of other people. Okay, we are on site of the final installation. Everything's up, all the portraits are here, and we're at the opening, and lots of participants who are involved in the portraits are here as well. And it just feels like a really joyful way to launch the installation. It's a relief to have it up, to tell you the truth. The project's been going on for so long, you know, you start to creep into your mind that what if we don't get it done? There's a lot of work to do. And a lot of the labour for this project, by the nature of it, had to happen right near the end. And so there's a lot riding on that labour in terms of the workshops and getting the construction made and installed. And so I feel really relieved that it's up, but also excited, you know, that it's that it looks great and that people are enjoying it, and particularly that the participants that are involved in it feel proud of it and that are enjoying it. So that means a lot to me.
And obviously coming here today and seeing it for the first time, when I had my picture taken, I didn't know what it was going to be like. Now, that's supposed to be me, right? And there's some resemblance, isn't there? So for me, it's like giving something back to what my ancestors had to go through, because obviously the material is very, very important, and the history as well of you know, how the slaves were treated, how the youngsters were treated, how the men were treated, how the women were treated. It's very significant, and that is very important to me, being part of this project.
We've kind of seen some images before, but it's better than I thought it was going to be. And actually it was somebody else that said, "Oh, there's you, Rose," because I'm known for my afro. Didn't wear it today, sadly, but a bit too hot today. But yeah, it's great, it's great. This is me! And I can tell my family, and apparently it casts shadows in the sun. So I think that's really great, that because we have to cast some of those shadows from the past and actually talk about them. Start talking about them. Everyone's being, you know, politically correct and not talking about things that are quite hard to talk about. But I think if that had happened even before we came as a Windrush generation, then we wouldn't have had such a tough time if people have been educated about us and we've been educated about what happens here in the UK. I've learned a lot about the mills and the families who worked here as well, and some of the hardships that they had as well. So it's been educational mutually.
You know, I was a bit nervous that people might see themselves in the portraits and go, "Oh, that doesn't look like me." But actually, people were really proud to find themselves in here. And because we made the portraits larger than life, we made them 8 foot. I think it's really nice kind of to see yourself big and kind of occupying this space in a way that feels substantial. And so I just love the responses, and I think that's what makes the work for me.